Thank you, Blue Label Boutique, for inviting me to share with you something that happened to me in my life a couple of years ago. 6 months before this, I remember looking into the mirror, and what I saw was a stranger staring back at me. I needed to be who I should have been if no one ever broke me. So that became my mantra daily. That's what I said. I'd look myself in the mirror and say, be who you should have been if no one ever broke you. So the following 6 months, I slowly shed my weight. I lost 35 kilos in 6 months and worked so hard at opening up my heart. You see, I'd been shut down most of my life due to sexual abuse in my childhood, where I really felt nothing. It was that powerful that I was able to stare at a corner in a room as I gave birth to my 4 boys. A couple of years ago, as I opened my own heart up to feel fully, my husband's heart then shut. So I'd lost all this weight, and I began to feel, for the first time in my life, complete. And my husband became everything that I'd worked so hard not to be in my life. I was transported back to the pain and the confusion that I had as a child. When I asked my husband, do you love me? First there was silence. Then I asked him again, do you love me? He said, what do you want to know for? Well, I'm your wife. This absolutely broke me in two. I remember going into my office, closing the door behind me, going onto my computer and searching for somewhere, anywhere to go. I wanted to run and hide, just as I had as a child. Mauritius became my new home. 3 days later, writing only a note, leaving only a note, I left my husband, my 4 sons, and my work. I had to be completely who I should have been if no one broke me. And I had to be on my own to do this. So I left. In Mauritius, it was like heaven. I was surrounded by beautiful, tan people with white linen, wearing white linen. I was transported to almost like a place that, I'd never experienced before in my life. For the first half of my trip, all I did was think of all the people I loved back home, my children, my husband. And then I realised that I'd come all that way to get those final missing parts of myself. I had to disconnect energetically from everybody back home. During my time there, I discovered a 1,000-year-old banyan tree. I remember the first day that meeting her, walking across this beautiful grassed area where there was it was magnificent, a 20 square metre area covered by this tree. I sat in the tree often, writing her wisdom, where she said that, all the twists and turns in our life make us unique. Just as a little egg cracking open, there is a newness, there is a beginning to everything, the seed planted before she even became who she was. She enveloped me in safety and allowed me to go deeper. Midway through, when I had disconnected from everyone back home that I loved so dearly, I spent a whole day crying. It was like I'd been the one transported to heaven, and they were all continuing their lives back home. I felt so much sadness. Going to bed early, the following morning, my fridge began to make a humming noise, which woke me. It was 6:15, so I walked to the far north tip and sat on rocks. Not really knowing where the sun would rise, but within moments of me sitting there, up came the sun. I felt peace, calm, stillness, something that I'd never experienced my whole life. A little later that morning, a girlfriend messaged me asking how I was going, and I said, really funny. I've come all this way for nothing." She said, "Oh, that's no good." I said, "No, actually, it really is good. From nothing, I realised I have everything. We all start from nothing." So I did return back to my family. There's quite a story there. I've written 3 books: My Nothing, Stepping Out to Discover Me, My New Normal, As the Dust Now Settles, and My Desired Simple Life, Underneath My Chaos. And they've all been put together recently into a book called What Once Broke Me, Permanent Freedom from My Past. You see, I realised that it was possible to find me fully once I stripped away the false self, the one I'd created many, many years ago as a young child. I was able to strip that off. And I was also able to dive in to the inner child, the one that I'd actually hidden in my shadows. And then I was able to discover a complete self. I discovered me. Blue Label Boutique. What I'd like to say to you is that my answer to the fearless woman would have to be one that can stand fully, to stand complete, to be who she's meant to be. Not to please everyone around them, not for anything external. It's an internal journey, the one of the fearless woman. She is the one who knows her own heart and can stand fully in it, living a life of truth and living a life that she's meant to live if she was never broken. Thank you.